So that's a great question because, a lot of people, unfortunately, they'll underwrite to return numbers, right? Because they want to sell their investors a really attractive deal. Where you're like, wow, look at all this money I'll make. It's going to be great. But unfortunately, when you go to execute that business plan in real life, it doesn't always work out, right? And so how do you distinguish what will and will not? And really, it's based on that market. What's that market willing to accept, right? For example, I mentioned the cable bulk internet. Like that's a big thing right now that everybody's doing. It sounds great. It looks really good on paper. It's going to juice those returns. But if you go out to your comps and you say, are they doing it? Are they doing it? It's like, no, nobody's doing it. And, say Comcast is in this market and they're offering, really great internet for $20. And then your business plan is that we're going to do bulk internet and we're going to charge $60 for that same speed. Now your residents are like, well, why I have to pay that? And you're like, yeah, unfortunately. So they're not going to want to live there. Right. So that's going to affect your other metrics because you're going to have lower occupancy, harder time leasing units, because that market doesn't accept that value add. So you have to find things that are truly of value to the residents, something that they, want, and it's also a benefit to them.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I'm Kristen, and I'm here with Tyler Evans, who is a partner at Aligned Ventures, a multifamily syndication based out of Houston, Texas. Thank you for being here, Tyler.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, what you guys are building is really impressive, and you help investors a lot, sourcing great opportunities. How did you get into the real estate industry to begin with?
There's a funny story, when I was in college, girl I was dating, her mom managed properties and she kept telling me, she's like, you'd be so good at this, you should come work for me. And, after enough probing, I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I took the job. I started leasing apartments, when I was in school, and I actually just fell in love with it. The dynamics of an apartment community, and it all just made so much sense. So after, a few months, I got promoted up to assistant manager and, just kept going, over the years, moving up until, I was running a large portfolio, about 6,000 units, across the United States in different markets, and just, loving every bit of it. So that's how I got started and kind of found my way to where I'm at now a bit.
Amazing. What happened to the girl?
I married her and we have 3
Hey,
kids and
so it worked out.
yeah, so she's still around, still there.
That's awesome. Great. So, that's really cool. And then when did you start with Aligned?
So Align, we're going on 5 years. So kind of that transition was I started investing, while I was running the property management company, buying duplexes, quads, and just kind of fixing up and selling them is doing really well and just scaling to bigger and bigger products. And I was like, I had this kind of realization. I was like, I could do this myself. And there was a moment in the company, I'd been there for about 12 years. It was a privately owned company, and they were just going a different direction that I really didn't agree on.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And, when you've invested that much time and effort into a place, you kind of feel like you're somewhat of an owner or irreplaceable. And, there was this moment where I just, really didn't agree with it. And they're like, well, that's great, but we're doing it anyways. And kind of hit me. I'm like, you know what? Like, I am just an employee. I'm replaceable. And that's why I made that decision was like, I want to step out and try to build something, take that risk and be an owner in something. So, that's why I made the move. I got out there looking for a partner, somebody, well capitalized that could help grow, had the skill sets. And so I got connected with Arnold, who's the other partner in the group, and he's built several businesses. Wanted something that's going to be around because in business you have to reinvent yourself a lot. And so it's like, well,
Right.
commercial real estate is not going anywhere. So here's something we can build once and just grow it. So yeah, this is our 5th year together. So we're doing well and ready to scale.
Amazing. And you guys mostly work with value add. Talk more about that and kind of which deals you guys source.
Yeah. So, yeah, we love value add real estate. It takes me back to the HGTV. It just makes sense, right? You buy the ugly house on the block. All the other houses are worth way more money because they're nice, right? And people, just want what looks good. So when you're doing apartments, it's the same concept, right? Except you have so many different levers to pull to add the value, which could be, from your additional incomes like cable or valet trash, whatever it may be, those add huge value to an asset. But we typically always start with the exterior, that curb appeal. So we target 80s product. Anything pre 80s, you kind of run into more problems, more boilers, flat roofs, things that just cause a lot of issues if they go bad, right? With the 80s, you get your normal pitched asphalt roofs, individual water tanks, individual ACs, stuff that you can fix easily. So we start there, we go up. We really look at stuff in a strong submarket, right? Because markets go up and down. But when you have a market that has, a lot of good businesses, good schools, strong incomes, that's where you want to be. So we're buying the cheaper asset that has a lot of potential to be better in the market where people can afford it and want to live. Right.
Right.
So that's how we kind of base our buy box. And, we just look at deals, we run the numbers and see what makes sense.
Yeah. And I know you were talking earlier about being able to identify what's actually a good deal and what might look like a good
Yeah.
deal on paper. How do you distinguish between the two?
Well, so that's a great question because, a lot of people, unfortunately, they'll underwrite to return numbers, right? Because they want to sell their investors a really attractive deal. We're like, wow, look at all this money I'll make. It's going to be great. But
Mm.
unfortunately, when you go to execute that business plan in real life, it doesn't always work out, right? And so, how do you distinguish what will and will not? And really, it's based on that market. What's that market willing to accept, right?
Right.
For example, I mentioned the cable bulk internet. Like that's a big thing right now that everybody's doing. It sounds great. It looks really good on paper. It's going to juice those returns. But if you go out to your comps and you say, are they doing it? Are they doing it? It's like, no, nobody's doing it. And, say Comcast is in this market and they're offering, really great internet for $20. And then your business plan is that we're going to do bulk internet and we're going to charge $60 for that same speed. Now your residents are like, well, why I have to pay that? And you're like, yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah.
like, so they're not going to want to live there. right? So that's going to affect your other metrics because you're going to have lower occupancy, harder time leasing units,
Right.
because that market doesn't accept that value add. So you have to find things that are truly of value to the residents, something that they, want, and it's also a benefit to them.
If you're looking for consistent, high quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
And then you'll get really good acceptance, and it's going to make that property thrive in the long run. So, that's just one example, but definitely it's market research. I like to blend, old school feet on the street with, new data analysis. So a lot of times I'll go and just shop the comps myself. I go and talk to the managers. I was like, hey, at the other properties, like, what are you guys doing? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And that's where you get the best insights. Cause if you try to pull like a CoStar report or, these big data services, you get just kind of like a 10,000 feet up picture, which a lot of times isn't what you need in a 2 block radius.
Right. Right. Absolutely. No, I think those are really good metrics to look at. And with Aligned Ventures, you guys are vertically integrated. So talk to me a little bit about building that. I feel like that's really challenging to do. Talk about
Yeah.
building that out and finding the right people.
Yeah. People are key. Processes are key. So we started with third party management. So that was the plan to kind of give us more bandwidth to focus on growing. And after having them in place for a while, we just saw a lot of neglect, a lot of underperformance. I remember, and this is where I came from. So this is second nature to me. I remember going to the property one week. There's like a pack of shingles on the ground next to the office, right? And remember they're typically not your employees, right? They're the management company's employees. So I'm like, hey guys, there's some shingles out here. It doesn't look great. Maybe we can clean them up. And then, come back the next week, still there. And I'm like, okay, I'll pick them up. Where can I put these? But and that's just, a random example. But what was really suffering was the numbers, the performance of the asset, occupancy, leasing, financials, they all flow together. So we ended up, getting rid of the management company, finding out that the manager herself was, committing fraud all over the place. There was people that were supposedly evicted, right? So, and I go to the apartment and they're still living there. It's marked as a vacant unit, that eviction was completed, and it's just a big mess, right? So, identifying that, taking action, and really diving in personally and getting it back on track. So at that point, it's like, already here, I'm doing it like, let's just take over management internally. I have a long background in this. So there were some things, right? So I came from a big company where we had an accounting department, a construction department.
Right.
And when you're a smaller group and you don't have departments, you have to find solutions. So, for example, we found a really good third party accounting company who specializes in multifamily. So I'm like, hey, these books are a mess. They came in, they got them all cleaned up. Use a software that I'm familiar with. And then, a lot of the systems and processes I already had, but it's about really ensuring that other people understand them and implement them. And so that's where it comes to the right people, like you said. So we use a hiring method. It's called Topgrading. There's a book by Philip D. Smart, amazing philosophy and strategy. So often when we hire people, we ask these surface level questions,
Right.
and almost everybody has a kind of like a snap answer for these surface level questions. And really the philosophy behind this is to drill down to those second and third layers. It's like, oh wow, that's impressive. Like, how did your peers do compared to you? And then like, oh well, how do you attribute, what do you attribute the success to? And you really like, find out what they like, what they don't like. And you ask the same questions in different ways. So you find out when they're lying. so so utilizing kind of this more in-depth hiring method and knowing what we needed on this property specifically, which was somebody who was, going to follow systems and processes. We found somebody that really fit the bill. I think she's been there for 2.5 years now, doing amazing, properties stabilized, performing really well. So, but yeah, definitely there's always surprises when you're building something like that.
Yeah.
So,
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
I wrote a little book. It's called like The Building Blocks of Property Management,
Nice.
just to help people who are going through that. Because even though I've been doing it for 12 years, when I built our own company, I was surprised by several things. I was like, "Wow, I didn't think about that until I had to
Right.
do it." You know,
Yeah.
so
You learn on the job a lot. I feel like that's a lot of real estate.
that really is. You gotta, roll with the punches. You're like, okay, but that's great. Now you know for next time. So that's what we always say. It makes you that much stronger. Every event is a lesson that strengthens you, right?
Definitely. Say one more time what that hiring method is called?
It's called top grading.
Top grading. I mean, that's a
Top
really
grading.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's that's a really good, I mean, the questions you ask people are so important, and a lot of times in interviews, you
Yeah.
kinda get nowhere, you're kinda spinning your wheels.
Exactly, and I had been hiring people like that for over a decade, and so, it's something that Arnold showed me when I came on with the line, and my mind was blown. I was like, "I can't believe I went so long with this BS hiring method of, like, I feel like they're a good hire,"
Right,
right? The
exactly.
other key part of that hiring method of top grading is it's called threat of reference check. So basically, you say early on, you're like, "Hey, who was your supervisor?" We always check with them and see what they thought of your performance. So they know, like, oh, somebody's going to be telling them the truth. So
Right,
it brings honesty out from the beginning. So
right.
it's really effective.
Definitely. And I know one of your strengths is kind of understanding where underperformance is and fixing those processes. What are some examples of that?
Yeah, so I would say, um, really, when it comes to KPIs or key performance indicators, you have indicating and then lagging. Lagging, that's like at the end of the month, you get an accounting report, right? And then you see it and you're like, oh my gosh, we severely underperformed. That's awful. What do we do? Right. And then you can fix it, but it's probably going to take 2 to 3 weeks. And that next month's probably going to be underperforming as well. So, really the key to expedite or get around that is to be really studying those indicating KPIs, which, in property management specifically, it's your leasing traffic, your conversions, your delinquencies. They tell the story of what's happening today, right now. And so if you set kind of thresholds, right, you're like, hey, I've pulled the reports. I know what we do on average, and it looks like we're trending down. These are below our average. And then you have conversations with the people on the ground. What's going on, guys? What's changed? What's different? We're a little slow. What are we going to do to pick that up? And you ask for people to create plans and, contribute to the success of it. And that really empowers them to go out and they're like, well, I'm going to do extra marketing. I'm going to do this. And so now you're taking action before a failed result. So, and there's always a cause, it's cause effect. So it's about understanding it. Like, well, market, traffic's been slow. Okay, but why? What are the comps pricing? It's like, well, everybody lowered their prices but us. Well, there we go, right? Okay, we need to do a market survey right now and fix our pricing or, whatever the case may be. But it's about, for one, identifying what's underperforming. And the only way to do that is by tracking metrics. And two, it's about asking the questions that helps you understand why it's underperforming and then talking to your team to get solutions, right? Because we may have ideas, but the people who do it day to day, they're going to have, really good opinions on what we should do. So listening to them also helps. So I think, in any business really, aside from commercial real estate, that's critical to, track, monitor performance and find solutions.
Yeah, not being too, I guess, comfortable doing what you're doing. Always be looking to optimize.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's optimizing, but it's also just sticking to what works, right? Because we do get lax. You're like, well, this property's doing good. It's fine. Like, I don't really need to review all these every week, do I? And if you get lax and then before you know it, and you're just looking at the monthly stuff, boom, you underperformed. And now it's going to take a month and a half to fix. And then your investors are like, well, what happened? And you're like, I don't know, excuse.
Yeah.
So, keeping it's really those systems and just abiding by them constantly,
Nice. Yeah.
building them and sticking to it.
Absolutely. And then let's talk about the market a little bit, kind of what you're seeing, because I think there's a lot of information being thrown out. I think a lot of people are, wondering if it's a good time or not. What are you seeing, and what are you seeing for the next year?
Yeah, so, we've been underwriting deals. I think we underwrote about 200 deals over the past 12 months. So we've looked at a lot of opportunities. Pricing in the market for commercial real estate has come down quite a bit. We've seen pricing fall and kind of stabilize a bit. So rates also have, trickled down a bit. I personally like, where the interest rates are, versus you look at the big picture. I think average interest rates are like 8 or 9% over, last 100 years. So, in the scheme of things, if you can get a 5.5% interest rate, that's pretty good, right? And we like to base it on that, 3% that we were getting for a minute, and we're like, "Oh, it's too high." But if the cap rates, which is how we really kind of value multifamily in a lot of situations, you know, you're seeing 5.5 or 6.5% cap rates. So you still, and if you're doing value add on top of that, that's giving you additional cushion. So you're positive levered on this deal. So, and we expect, as multifamily typically does, or commercial real estate in general, appreciates over time. So, yeah, what I'm seeing is people have been scared to kind of get in the market. Everybody's been waiting for, okay, when's the bottom? Then I'll get in.
Right.
My personal opinion is that now is a great time to get in. Just looking at supply demand metrics, right? Every market's a little different. So you obviously have to study your markets. But in Texas, Dallas, and Houston specifically, you look at what was developed. So we had a little surplus of units going into the year, and they've been getting absorbed really well. And there's really no new starts coming. It's a little harder to develop right now, with material costs, labor shortage due to immigration reform, and then interest rates. When they're doing these construction loans, they're usually, 9-10% right now. So it's kind of hard for those deals to pencil. So, but yet we still see huge population growth in these markets.
Right.
Because compared to a lot of the other country or the rest of the country, California, New York, it's still a super affordable place to live. Dallas and Houston, there's a lot of job opportunities. So we're seeing a lot of people move into the state, absorb these units. So, over the next 5 years, let's say, there's going to be a big housing deficit. So that's going to be great opportunity for multifamily because, and also, when it comes to the ability to own a home, it's so hard for an average American to own a home right now. What it takes for like your down payment, and you just think like these 20-some-year-old kids and they're, not making enough. It's so hard to save. So, really their option is to rent or live at home. So we see a lot of demand there too. There's, more renters now than ever, due to the difficulties in owning. So when you just kind of look at all the different factors and how they play together, I feel like, commercial real estate is a good bet, multifamily in specific, over this next 5-year period. So we're bullish. We're ready to acquire as much as we can.
That's amazing. No, I love hearing like optimism about the market, and I agree. I do think it's a good time to get in there. I think a lot of people wait and wait and wait, and then the moment just passes them by. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I agree
they
with you.
they say the best time to buy is yesterday.
Right, exactly. Well, thank you so much for being here. I feel like you've given a lot of good tangible advice and also some inspiration for people. So tell everyone where to find you, where to find Align Ventures.
Yeah, you could find me on LinkedIn, Tyler Evans, Align Ventures. We have a website. It's investav.com, and you got all of our links and everything there. So check us out.
Amazing. Well, thank you again for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.
And thank you everyone for listening. Hope you got some good inspiration for your own business and learned a lot. Please reach out to Tyler. And yeah, we will see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.